Hello and welcome to the second in the Adobe eSignatures video series, Adobe Reader and Acrobat eSignature Options. I'm Mark Middleton, Adobe Business Development Manager. In the first 6-minute video, Electronic Signature Overview, I covered what electronic signatures are and the legality and advantages of eSignatures. In this second short video, I'll discuss and demonstrate 4 eSignature options in the free Adobe Reader and Acrobat. I hope it will spur you on to view the next 3 in the series, Electronic Signature Advanced Options in Adobe Acrobat, that is, above and beyond the eSignature options you'll see in this video, supercharging Acrobat with our newest eSignature option, Adobe EchoSign, and lastly, a demonstration of the world's #1 online signature service, Adobe EchoSign. In this video, I'll first explain, then demonstrate 4 different ways to sign a document, form, or contract using Adobe Reader. Note that these same options are available in Adobe Acrobat, but I'll be showing them to you in the free Adobe Reader. I have a slide for each signature option, and then onto the demonstration. First, I'll cover how to apply a signature using my mouse on a computer, then signing with my finger or stylus on a touchscreen device, and then I'll create a signature stamp in Reader and stamp my signature on a document. And lastly, I'll upload a document from Adobe Reader 11 to Adobe EchoSign to send it out for electronic signature. Okay, let's get started. As I mentioned, I have a slide for each signature option, and then it's on to the demonstration. The first option I'll cover is applying a signature to a PDF using a mouse, if we have a standard desktop or laptop computer, or a stylus or finger if we have a touchscreen device. The advantage is it's quick and easy. One disadvantage, it's difficult to sign with a mouse. Ever try it? It's a little easier and usually more legible with a touchscreen device. I'll show you the Adobe Reader signing experience on an iPad. Even more problematic, regardless of whether it's a computer or touchscreen device, is that there is no verification of identity. In other words, how can anyone prove or disprove whether it was really you that drew your signature on the document? Anyone can apply a scrawled signature of your name on a document, or they can copy your signature from another document where you sign using a mouse, finger, or stylus. The next option is the ability to scan your signature, PDF it, and then turn it into a signature stamp. Then you can stamp your signature on all the PDF documents you want. I'll show you how easy it is to do it. The advantage, much like drawing your signature, is that it's quick and easy. The disadvantage is exactly the same as a drawn signature. There's no verification of identity. A devious individual who has access to anything with your signature on it can create the same signature stamp and stamp it on all the documents they want. Signing with a signature pad also has its pros and cons. The advantage is that most of us have been signing like this at store checkout counters in retail for some time, so we're used to the process. The disadvantage, you need to buy signature pads and software to load on all the computers utilizing this technology. Additionally, the signer usually has to be there in person, and there's no verification of identity except the signature unless somebody is checking the signer's ID during the signer process. The same goes for the touchscreen devices. So that takes us to the last signing option I'll be presenting, Adobe's eSignature service, Adobe EchoSign. It's built into Adobe Acrobat 11, although you don't need the free Reader or Acrobat to fully utilize EchoSign. And the advantages include an easy process for you and others to get documents, forms, and contracts signed securely by multiple signers and approvers. Plus, it manages the whole process from sending your document to letting you track where it is in the process of getting others to sign it, all the way to archiving at the end of the process with a complete audit trail for your records. An advantage is that Adobe hosts this service for you, so you don't have to install anything on your servers, computers, or the devices of the signers. Plus, we handle all the upgrades and updates, so you don't have to. The best part, just click Send Signed Document in Adobe Reader or Acrobat to kick off the process. So let's turn to a demonstration of our options when it comes to electronic signatures in Adobe Reader and Acrobat. I'll share my screen. Okay, from Adobe Reader, I'll open my sampleagreement.pdf, and that was converted from a Word document. If I go to the bottom, you'll notice I've got two signature blocks. I've got one over here for Geometrics on the left, and I've got one for Adobe Systems Incorporated on the right. I'll actually be signing as Joe Adobe. First, I'll sign with my mouse because I'm on a computer and don't have a signature pad. So I'll go to the Sign panel. Well, there's two ways I could do it. I could click on Open Sign Pane from here. You notice the green bar. If you want to close that for any reason, all the way over to the left, just click on that icon, and it will go away. You can click on the Sign pane right here in the middle. You'll notice the first one is Tools, then you've got Sign, and then you've got Comment. I want to be clicking on the Sign tab here because I'm going to be signing this document. I can add text from here if I want to. I can add a check mark. I can place my initials. What I want to do here is place my signature, so I'm going to click on that. And you notice that I've got four options under Place Signature. I can type my signature. I can use a webcam. I can draw a signature, use an image, and use a certificate. So let me go through these. First, I can type my signature. So if I click on Type My Signature, and I'll type in, well, let's do Joe Adobe and keep it consistent. I can type in Joe Adobe. It'll create a signature using a default font. If I want to change the font, I just click on Change Signature Style. All right, I can use a webcam. That'll actually start my webcam, my little camera on top of my computer or laptop, and then it will give me the ability to sign my signature with the background being a picture of my face. And some people do it that way. I'm not going to be showing you that today, but it's fun. You might want to try that. I can place signature and then come down to draw my signature, and that's exactly what I'll be doing right now. And then I'll show you use an image, and use a certificate is only available for Reader Extended PDF. That's a whole nother topic entirely. A presentation and demonstration of digital certificates and self-signed digital IDs is the topic of my next video in the series, Adobe Acrobat Advanced eSignature Options. So let me click here on Draw My Signature, and it gives me a nice white canvas to be able to draw in. And I want to sign as Joe Adobe. And doesn't look all that great with a mouse, but it works. And I'll click on Accept. And you notice that it gives me the representation of that signature I just drew in. I want to head back to the bottom here. I want to hover that signature right over Authorized Signature and right under Adobe Systems Incorporated, and just click on the left mouse button. If you're on a PC, this works. Everything I show you today works just fine on a Macintosh. And that's how easy it is to drop your signature down on a computer. If you want to do it on a touchscreen device, a little different. Let me fire up my iPad here, and you can see I've got an iPad. You can use any touchscreen device, whether it be a smartphone, Android, Microsoft, what have you, any kind of a tablet. I'm just showing it to you on an iPad here. And you notice on the bottom there's a mail icon all the way over to the left. Then I have my Reader icon. So let me grab a stylus here, click on Adobe Reader, that red icon, and Adobe Reader will pop up on my iPad. I've got a number of tabs here: Recents, Documents, Acrobat.com, Image to PDF, so on and so forth. I want to click on my Acrobat.com because I've created an Acrobat.com account and I've uploaded a couple of documents. If you want to create your own Acrobat.com account, just go to www.acrobat.com, sign up, and you can upload documents yourself, and that's free. So I'm going to click on sampleagreement.pdf. It's going to open up in my iPad the exact document that I just showed you on my computer. The signing experience is a little bit different, but it's not that bad. So you notice on the top that there's a number of little options. I've got the icons over there in the upper right. So I'm going to click on the middle one, which shows you the representation of the pencil. And if you notice, all of my annotation and comment tools pop up. So if I want to add a sticky note, I would click on that little balloon icon all the way over to the upper left. My highlight option is next, the cross-out tool, the underline tool, the bold tool, so on and so forth. And then I've got my pencil. And the one I want, of course, is the icon that looks like a pen. It's my signature option. So I'll click on that. and then I'll click down right under between Adobe Systems Incorporated and Authorized Signature. I'll just hold my stylus there, and you notice that it opens up a sign here, kind of that same blank canvas that I had on my computer, and it just says sign here. So I'm going to draw this with my stylus, and I'll put Joe, Adobe. And you can see that it's a little bit easier to do with a touchscreen device. You notice that I can change the thickness if I want to. I can actually, change that if I want. But I'll save it. I'm happy with it. So I just click on Save. And then it automatically puts it on the document. Couldn't be any easier. If I want to reposition it, I just click on it, and I'll put it right over Authorized Signature here. Here I can change not only the thickness, but the color, the opacity, or I can delete it. I'll just leave it. It's just fine with me. Now, if I go back, let's say I want to email this to somebody, I'll click on my email icon right over here, and it'll say, you want to email this document, and I'll click on Email Document. You can choose the format. In other words, you can share the original document where the signature is a separate layer. It's a comment on top of the original PDF, or I can share the flattened copy. The flattened copy actually sort of bakes my signature right into the body of the document, and I'll share the flattened copy. And then I can email this off, and then that's how easy it is to sign on a touchscreen device. Back to back to the PDF open in Acrobat Reader on my computer. When I save this, it will also flatten the document, which bakes my signature into the body of the document, so it can't be deleted. In other words, when I sign it with my mouse, finger, or stylus, it creates a separate layer on top of the original layer of my PDF. When I save it, the two layers become one, also known as flattening the PDF. And again, that makes it harder for someone to alter my signature. The disadvantage is that there's no verification of identity. Anyone can scrawl your signature on a PDF. Plus, full Acrobat users can alter the text of the document if it's not secured and, for example, change 1,000 to 10,000, for example. A fraudulent person then faxes it back and hopes nobody notices. I'll show you this by saving this document. I'll do a File, Save As, and I'll put it on my document, on my desktop, and I will call this sample document. Let's call it Alter in Acrobat, because I'm going to be altering this in Acrobat. And I'll just save that. Okay, and you notice that it bakes the signature in. If I click on it, it's now part of the body of the document. So I'll open up that document in Acrobat. Let me just do a File, Open, go to my desktop, and find that document, which is right over here, Sample Agreement, Alter in Acrobat, and I'll open it up. And again, I've got the sign pane here. If I want to close that, just all the way over to the left, I'll click on that and make it disappear. And under my Tools panel, I'm going to go to Content Editing. I want to edit text and graphics, or text and images here. And it sets me up into the mode where I can make some changes here if this document isn't secured. And if it's coming from Adobe Reader, it's probably not secured. So notice I've got 1,000 here. I'm going to add a digit, just a 0 in here, and I'm going to change that to 10,000. And then I'll head back over to Tools. And the last thing I'll do over here with my signature is I'll go to Tools, Protection, and I'll mark this for redaction. And redaction just means it removes information, and I'll just put a little square over here. And you notice that I'll just use the same color as my background, and it makes the signature disappear. And now what I can do, I just have to mark, got to go and apply my redaction. Okay, and now I will save that, and I'll call it File, Save As, and in my output file here, I'll call it Changed in Acrobat. Changed in Acrobat, and I will save that into my output file. I'll go back to Reader. Let me close this one, and And I'll open up my other one that I just created here. And there it is, changed in Acrobat. I'll open that up in Reader. And let's take a look at what we have here. Let's see, instead of $1,000, it's now been changed to $10,000. And that signature that I had baked into the document has now gone because it was redacted out by somebody in Acrobat because this wasn't secured. Okay, so that is a drawing of your signature. Let's use a signature stamp that I created. And I created this by signing my signature on a piece of copy paper, and I scanned it in. I'll click on, if you want to change your saved signature or clear it, you can do it right here. And that allows me now to place my signature, and this time click on Use an Image. So the last one I used was draw my signature. Now I'm going to use an image, which is actually a signature stamp. And I'll browse for where I scanned in my document, and it is right over here. And you notice it's called Signature Smaller, and I'll double click on it. And this shows me the signature that I had scanned in where I wrote my signature on a piece of copy paper. And I'll just click on Accept. And I'll stamp that right on the document. Very much like drawing my signature. The advantage is very quick and easy. Disadvantage, like the security problems with drawing my signature, there's no verification of identity. Anyone can create a signature stamp with my signature if they have access to my signature on another document. And a fraudulent person can alter the text of the document as I showed you after that I've signed it, fax it back, and hope that nobody notices. So that takes us to the last signing option I'll be presenting, which is Adobe eSignature service, Adobe EchoSign, that's built in to Adobe Reader 11, although you don't need the free Reader or Acrobat to fully utilize EchoSign. I'm just going to delete this signature here. I'm going to go to Sign, and then instead of I need to sign, I need to get others to sign it. You notice here it says, do you need others to sign this document? Get documents signed in minutes using Adobe EchoSign, track your progress, and get notified when your document gets signed. So I'll click on Send for Signature, powered by Adobe EchoSign. And it will upload the document to the Adobe EchoSign service. And it will present it to me from EchoSign. And you can see now I'm in EchoSign. All you need is a web browser to access it, and you can set up your own free account if you want to. I'll show you how easy to do it. The advantage includes an easy process for you and others to get documents, forms, and contracts signed securely. It manages the whole process from sending your document to letting you track where it is in the process of getting others to sign it. It's especially important if you do have multiple signers. It even handles the archiving at the end of the process and provides an audit trail for your records. So I'm in EchoSign. I click on Sign In here. I happen to have an account already. If you don't, you can just use your Adobe ID. That's what you use to sign up for things like Webinars and Adobe Webinars, that kind of thing. Also down here, if you don't have an Adobe EchoSign account, you can just click here to register. I am going to sign in because I already have an account, and I'm going to sign in as Joe Adobe at ymail.com. Put in my password here. And then I'll just click on Sign In. The first thing it's going to do is it's going to upload my document, and you notice it's right here. It's the sample agreement changed in Acrobat. I'm going to type who this is going to go to, and I'm going to send this to Michael R. Edwards. He's over there at Geometrics. Remember, Geometrics needs to sign this too. And I'll put in the name of the agreement, which is just Sample Agreement. And I need to add my signature to this document. I want the recipient to sign first. That's Geometrics. And then I want to sign last, I being Joe Adobe. I want to preview and position signatures or add form fields. And then I'll just click on Send. Then EchoSign is going to present the document to me, and it's going to allow me to drop and drag my signature fields. So I'll go to the bottom of the document where Geometrics and Adobe Systems needs to sign. You notice under Select Role here on the top, I can either choose Joe Adobe or I can choose Michael Edwards. Let me start with Joe Adobe, and it's says that's me. I'm in Joe Adobe's account. And I'll drag down Joe Adobe's authorized signature block here. I'll drop down his name. And then I need a form field, which is going to be the job title. And I'll make that a little bigger. Okay, I want to double click here on job title, and this is where I can change all of my form field settings here. For example, I could have a default value if I wanted to. I could have a tooltip. I could have validation. I could make sure that this was a number, date, time, US zip code, something like that. And in this case, I just want to make sure that it's required, and I'll click on Save. And then I'll click over to Michael Edwards, and I'll do the same thing over here. Drop his signature over here. His name is going to be next, and then a form field over where it says Print Job Title, and I want to make that a little bit bigger. And double-click on it, and I want to make it mandatory or required, and I'll save it. And that's it. And now I'm ready to get this signed. I'll just click on Send. And then it takes me to this screen. Sample agreement has been successfully sent for signature. A copy has also been sent to you at joeadobe@ymail.com for your records. The sample agreement was sent for signature to Michael Edwards. And as soon as the contract is signed, all eligible parties will be emailed PDF copies. I can create a reminder here if I'd like, just to maybe a weekly or daily reminder for the recipients that haven't signed yet. Or I can be alerted if the document hasn't been viewed by a certain day or time, or if it hasn't been signed by a certain day or time. I'll stop sharing my computer, and let's go over to Michael Edwards' device. He happens to be on an iPad. Maybe he's at next to the pool on a cruise ship with internet access. I'll click here on the mail icon in the lower left, and I'll open up his email. And the first thing you see is that the most recent message he received is from Joe Adobe. He sent you a sample agreement to eSign. Click here, and you'll notice it's highlighted. Click here to review and eSign the sample agreement. So I'll click there on the yellow, and it will present Michael Edwards with the document from the EchoSign server. Now, I wouldn't necessarily have to be connected. You can sign documents. The iOS application does support offline signing. You can sign it, and then next time you plug into the internet, you can send it then. But I'm connected, so I'll click on Start. I'll click to sign there where it says, it's right on the yellow there above where it says Authorized Signature. And I can either use the default signature, which is just a default font there, or in this case, you notice it says, I would like to draw my signature right under there. I'm going to click on that, and then I can draw Michael Edwards' signature. Michael Edwards, and I'll just apply that. And then I want to go to the job title, and maybe Michael Edwards is the CEO. And when I'm done, I'll just click to eSign, processes the document, and it says you're done. You've successfully e-signed the agreement, sample agreement. It has now been sent to Joe Adobe to sign. So I'll head back to my screen here, and I'll go to my email. Actually, it wouldn't be mine. It would be Joe Adobe's email. And let's head up to Joe Adobe's email. So he's over there at Ymail. And I'll head up to my Ymail account at Joe Adobe at ymail.com. My password, sign in. And you notice that the most recent message I received, if I click on it, it says your signature is required on the sample agreement. And it says, please e-sign the sample agreement. Click here to log into EchoSign and e-sign sample agreement. So I'll click here to log in. And that'll take me up to the EchoSign server. It'll present me with the document the same way that it had on the iPad device that Michael Edwards signed on. You notice, unlike what we were dealing with in Reader and Acrobat, I have no way to change this document. This is strictly an image of the document being hosted on Adobe server, and there is no way for me to change 1,000 to 10,000 or to delete anything or to redact anything. It just absolutely is not going to allow me to do that. So I'm going to click on the Start button, and I want to click here for Joe Adobe to sign. I can draw my signature too, and I could make this a default if I wanted to force people to actually draw their signature. I'll just, again, with the mouse, it's a little bit harder, but you get the idea. Okay, and I'll just apply that. And then I have to put my job title. In this case, I'm going to be a senior buyer for Adobe. And I'll click to e-sign it. Processes the document. And it says, hey, you're done. You've successfully e-signed the agreement, sample agreement. Copies will be emailed to all parties. Fantastic. So I'll head back over to my email, or to Joe Adobe's email, that is. Click on the inbox. And it'll load up my email, and the most recent message I just received is the sample agreement between Geometrics and Adobe People Resources has been completely signed. This is a fully executed agreement. It says attached is a final copy of the sample agreement. So I'm going to open that up. Joe Adobe could have password protected that if he wanted to. We're not going to do that in this case. I'll open it up with Adobe Acrobat. I can do the same thing with Adobe Reader. And a couple of things you'll notice right off the bat. I get the blue ribbon experience, and that means that it's been certified by Adobe EchoSign's eSignature service by a VeriSign Certificate Authority, that nice blue ribbon experience, which says this document hasn't been changed since it was signed. If I go to the bottom, it's got Michael Edwards' signature here. Over on the right, I've got Joe Adobe's signature here. I've got their names, and I've got their job titles. And best of all, if you look on the last page, I've got the audit trail. And this tells me exactly how this document was sent around. And this is really the security, the audit trail, the assurance for you that this is a valid, securely signed document that hasn't been changed in any way. It lets me know when the document was created by Joe Adobe. It's got the date, the time, from what email did it come from. In this case, it was joeadobe@ymail.com, as well as the IP address, when the document was emailed to Michael Edwards, when the document was viewed by Michael Edwards, when the document was e-signed by Michael Edwards. It's pretty hard for Michael Edwards to say he didn't sign this document when it was signed from his email account on this date and this time from this IP address, which is, of course, the IP address of his computer. And then, of course, it was emailed back to Joe Adobe and so on and so forth. So that's a quick look at Adobe EchoSign from Adobe Reader. Let's head back to the presentation, and I've got 2 more slides to cover. If you currently have or plan on getting Adobe Acrobat, I would encourage you to join me for the 3rd video in this series, Adobe Acrobat Advanced eSignature Options. Otherwise, I hope you'll join me for the 5th video in the series, Adobe EchoSign Options, where I demonstrate how to extend the capabilities of Adobe Reader with Adobe EchoSign to sign and get your documents, forms, and contracts signed.